Inazuma 11 Reloaded was the weird little stepchild of Inazuma 11 Ares. It was the special that had before Ares, which was basically setting the context. The Raimon 11 took on Barcelona Orb, they got absolutely mauled, and so as a way of increasing Japan's football, they basically sent the Raimon players out to all the different clubs to go and make them better. We know what happened to some of those players, we know where some of them ended up. But today I want to take a look at the others and I want to try and figure out where exactly they went. So this is going to be my guess for where every Raimon player ended up in Inazuma 11 Ares. Obviously we start with Mark, we know he went to Everytown High, and we know he set up the football team there and led them to the semi-finals. I love this story personally, I think it's a really cool underdog story. I mean, it's an underdog story that can be about as underdog as it is when you have the best goalkeeper in the country who is already established as the best goalkeeper in the country. So I mean, doesn't feel very underdog, but you know what I mean. Nathan obviously went to Royal Academy, became Ray Dark's little teacher's pet for some reason, and Jack went to Rampart and immediately broke his legs, which I think is kinda based. Then we've got Jim. Jim, for me, is the most obvious of the players not already assigned a team, because I mean, come on. He so obviously went to a cult. It is Jim, look at him, he's the creepiest man alive, he obviously went to a cult. Question though, does Jim increase the level of a cult? I guess this is the question we've got to ask with a lot of these players. Do they really, increase the level of the team? I feel like Jim, who was a bench player for Raimon by the end of the series, maybe not the kind of guy to go and give inspirational speeches. Similar question can be posed on our next guy, Tod. Now, I've assigned Tod to Wild. One, because he kind of looks like a chipmunk anyway, so I feel like he suits in with the animal theme. But two, because for me, Tod, he's like, I guess meant to be a straight man to Jack a lot of the time. I use that in the loosest sense of the word. When it comes to comedy, Tod is meant to be played a bit more straight. He's a bit more of just an average guy with a bit of a funny design. And so the idea of him and Wild trying to kind of tame the Wild team and basically be their kind of straight man and be the one trying to motivate them and train them to be better and all that stuff while Wild's doing all kinds of shenanigans around him, that's just comedic gold and I would happily pay to see a series of that. I think Outer Code missed a massive beat not having Tod do that. So yeah, Tod for Wild for me, absolutely. Steve is Mr. Average. We know this. Steve is obviously the jack of all trades, so where else are we going to put him other than Forkshaw? Forkshaw is a really average, middle-of-the-road, boring, bland team. I mean, I say boring quite harshly here. Forkshaw just don't really have anything special going for them, so it just feels like it makes a lot of sense why Steve would go there. I mean, he's nothing really that special himself. As much as I love him and I adore him so much, his whole character is about being average. So going to kind of the most mid-generic team makes a lot of sense for him. And I like to think that in my head canon, Steve really loves teaching at Forkshaw, well, teaching and motivating and coaching, and he eventually learns to become a coach and then goes on to coach Inazuma Kids. And it was his journey at Forkshaw that started him there. Cute. Timmy is another really obvious one, Cloister Divinity. Again, don't feel like Timmy's quite the person to go and give inspirational speeches to Cloister Divinity, who's meant to be one of the best teams in the country. But sure, Timmy's going to go there anyway, do some karate, do some kung fu, and then I like Crane Kick will like kick him in the face or something. Sam, I've put Sam at Farm. My reasoning for this is just a bit like Sam just gives me a farm vibe. I don't think Sam's going to be able to do anything to help coach their defense. Maybe can do a bit to coach their offense or something. Sam, I mean, it's Sam, I guess. I don't know. This one's a tricky one. He just gives me a bit of a farm vibe, so sure, he gets to go to farm. This next one doesn't actually make any sense. My reasoning was kind of, well, one, there weren't really that many teams left by the time I got to figure out who he'll go to. And then two, he wears a hat. And for some reason, a hat gives me Mary Times vibes for Max. I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah, I think Max kind of suits Mary Times. He's quite a chill, calm, laid-back person, so I imagine him and Mary Times would be quite funny. They're all partying, all that stuff. I think Max is just kind of a bit like, I don't know what to do in this situation. He'd be doing like the classic anime face, like, you know what I mean? And maybe he'd bond with Soundtown a bit. I don't know if he quite has the tactical prowess to share to Soundtown, but I feel like his kind of more straightforward approach could, you know, be the kind of nice contrast to Soundtown to increase memory times on a more, I don't know, technical level. Who knows? It's Max. I'm sure he'll have a blast. Obviously, we know Axel went to Kirkwood. We know that Kevin went to Alpine. But the real star striker of Raimon, Willie, he can go to Otaku. Again, it's kind of obvious. He's obvious. I mean, I guess the question's raised now. Do Otaku last after Season 1? They're not going to really have anything to, you know, play for anymore if they're not playing for the idea of getting to win their trip to wherever the hell. So I guess Willie comes and tries to reset up Otaku, re-motivate them and make them enjoy football is more than just a way of getting to something. Who knows? I feel like Willie can do something here. There's a cool story here somewhere. And my man Willie will definitely be the one to guide Otaku to a final. Bobby was the hardest by a mile. And this is just an absolute what teams were left by this point. He's going to Green Hill Junior High, which is the team that Inakuni was supposed to play before it got cancelled and they rematched Seishu or Polestar. This was that team. So yeah, Bobby's on that team. There's not a reasoning behind this. He just is. Obviously, Jude went to Polestar. And finally, Eric Eagle is going to go to Shuriken. Again, this is slightly, we didn't really have any spaces left or any teams left. But on the other hand, it's also a case of Eric's skills of dribbling, ball control, speed, all those kind of things, I think really suits how Shuriken plays. And I think they would have lots to learn from Eric. Eric is one of the best players in Raimon, and especially in the way he controls the ball, the way he dribbles with it, and the way he kind of, you know, plays is quite ninja-like. And so I think him going to Shuriken, him becoming this teacher for them and teaching them in those skills, the skills that Shuriken already seems to hold pretty high, yeah, for me, that absolutely 100% works. But anyway, hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed for more Inazuma 11 content like this. I'll see you around. Bye.